All right, everybody, Cinephile Mike, your friendly neighborhood cinephile, is here, and it is day 23, final day. Oscar night is tonight. Oh, are you as excited as I am? Have you picked all of your winners? Are you still debating? Do you agree with me on all 23? Do you have some differences of opinion? You don't think I don't know what I'm talking about? Well, that's for you to see and for me to see. We'll see how I do. Usually I'm pretty good for about 20 to 21 of the 23. There's always a few surprises. But again, today is the last day of And the Oscar Goes to, my series of shorts on who I believe will win, and in some cases, who I think should win that big prize when those envelopes get opened tonight. So, without further ado, Best Picture of the Year. And the nominees are American Fiction, LeClair, Nikos Karamigios, Jefferson, and Jermaine Johnson, producers. Anatomy of a Fall, Marie-Ange Luciani and David Thion, producers. Barbie, David Heyman, Margot Robbie, Tom Ackerley, and Robbie Brenner, producers. The Holdovers, Mark Johnson, producer. Killers of the Flower Moon, Dan Friedkin, Bradley Thomas, Martin Scorsese, and Daniel Lupi, producers. Maestro, Bradley Cooper, Steven Spielberg, Fred Berner, Amy Durning, and Kristie Macosko Krieger, producers. Oppenheimer, Emma Thomas, Charles Roven, and Christopher Nolan, producers. Past Lives, David Hinojosa, Christine Vachon, and Pamela Koffler, producers. Poor Things, Ed Gwynny, Andrew Lowe, Yorgos Lanthimos, and Emma Stone, producers. The Zone of Interest, James Wilson, producer. Let's take a look a little closer at our 10 nominees. American Fiction is the story of a professor and novelist who is only trying to get his most recent book sold, but because it doesn't fit the narrative of what people want, he writes under a pen name and creates a persona and novel that satirizes what we expect. Anatomy of a Fall is a courtroom drama that puts a woman on trial for the murder of her husband who suffers a fall from a third-story window in their home in the French countryside. Morality in question, the main witness is the suspect's half-blind son. Barbie, the tale of her and Ken living their best lives in Barbieland until events cause them to leave and go to the real world to investigate some odd happenings, and we will see them come to terms with reality and what this means for the roles they play in the world. The Holdovers shows a chapter in the lives of a found family trio of a curmudgeonly professor forced to stay behind and supervise the one student left on campus when he is unable to go home for the winter holidays, and the grieving school cook. Killers of the Flower Moon presents a chapter in our country's history when oil and wealth were abundant in the Osage Nation of Oklahoma, who had to deal with a series of murders until the newly forming FBI steps in to solve the case. Maestro presents the 40-year love story of the great conductor Leonard Bernstein and actress Felicia Montalegre Cohn Bernstein, which looked beautiful on the outside, but had more than its fair share of challenges behind closed doors. Oppenheimer, the history of J. Robert Oppenheimer, the physicist who would become the father of the atomic bomb, and we will see all the turmoil he goes through in the aftermath of the bomb and when he is on trial for being a suspected communist. Past Lives tells two love stories, the one that is and the one that could have been, when a happily married woman is living her life and when she least expects it, is given an opportunity to connect with her first love from years prior. Poor Things, the story of Bella Baxter, a woman who is reborn and provided with the opportunity to build a life for herself, although she will have to overcome a variety of challenges to do so, many of which being the men that come into her life. And finally, The Zone of Interest tells the story of a Nazi commander's family who is doing all they can to live their lives in a wonderful home with everything they could want just outside the walls of Auschwitz during World War II. So, this is the big one. Very rarely does the film that I feel should win actually win. In fact, for a reference point, within the last 10 years, only 3 times did the film that I wanted to win, did I believe would win and did win, which was 2015 for Spotlight, 2019 for Parasite, and 2021 for Coda. So, based on the research and the footage, I know that who I want to win is probably not going to, who will win is a sure bet. On my ballots, I always put who I believe will win. I don't always go with my heart, I go with my brain. But for me, of these 10 nominees for who I believe should win, it would be American Fiction. This film is such a delight and rose such a social awareness in a humorous way that I would love to see that award called. Now, I also want to highlight, because in many ways, Alexander Payne, I feel his movies speak to me for many parts reflecting my life. If it wasn't American Fiction, I would love for it to be The Holdovers. Such a good film this year. But based on the accolades it has received and the way things are veering, I think most of you know where I'm going to say what will win that award come the night. Well, Christopher Nolan, it's you. Expect to hear Oppenheimer called for the best picture of the year when that envelope is opened. Not one of my favorites for the year, but I am willing to recognize the wonders that this film did achieve, especially in technical components. Maybe not so much a fan of the screenplay, but I recognize it for the film that it is. So, do you agree? Is Oppenheimer your pick? Is that the one that will win? We're going to find out in a few hours. Everyone, enjoy the Oscars. Come back in the next few days. I'll be breaking down the Oscars in a special video presentation. Have a wonderful night. And until then, this is Cinephile Mike saying take a break and watch something new.